flag of the United States of America. When reciting the pledge and during the flag ceremonies, secretaries of the United States should place the right hand over their hearts.
Men should remove any hats and hold them to their left shoulder, thus placing their right hand over their heart. Non-citizens, people visiting from other lands, and those who are in the United States on a visit may fold their hands in front or behind their body. They may also simply keep their hands relaxed at their sides.
Military members, past and present, are the only people who should give the military salute. For non-military members, to do this is inappropriate. All persons in attendance at the retirement of the flag should not speak until the flag is removed from the pole completely and ready to be folded. Thank you. We hope this has cleared up any confusion and that we will proudly place our hands on our hearts.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for this morning, Mr. Ron Crosby. Gotta love them kids, don't you? Yeah. It's I don't remember my attention span being that long when I was that age. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, faculty, students, Prairie Farm School System, Mr. Fossum, friends, family, and neighbors. Thank you for inviting the veterans of Prairie Farm and the surrounding areas to participate in today's program. In the 14 cemeteries nearest Prairie Farm lie some 346 veterans, including 35 veterans of the Civil War. Over the course of our nation's history, millions of American men and women have served or are serving this great nation. It is to remember and honor their service that we gather here today. These men and women are, or were, ordinary everyday people until they heard the call of duty and answered it. They left their families, homes, jobs, and lives behind. Many volunteered, some were drafted, but all served to protect our country and preserve our way of life. When they returned, they became our neighbors, our friends, business owners, community leaders, and the people we worked alongside of, or in many cases worked for. Rarely did they talk about their service. They are your great-grandparents, grandparents, mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers. In the years following World War II, our little town was blessed to have veterans living and working literally from one end of town to the other. These veterans contributed to their community in so many ways during those years, and despite the fact that many of them are no longer with us, they have left us a community and legacy to be proud of. On the very spot where we gather today was the site of the John Grindall farm. John was an Army veteran of World War I and farmed the land upon which this new addition to the school stands. In 1972, the Prairie Farm High School custodian was a gentleman named Herb Blyden. His wife, Sophronia, was a cook here. I doubt that many of the students at that time knew that Herb was a veteran of World War II, corporal in the United States Army from 1940 to 1945. Even fewer would have known that Herb's younger brother, Otto, a coxswain in the United States Navy, who had enlisted in 1938, had been declared missing in action in 1942 when his ship, the USS Pecos, was sunk in March of that year. He was never recovered. Mel Rasmussen, Army veteran of World War II, was a bus driver and mechanic for the Prairie Farm School District for many years. On the corner where Orland's lumber stands today, Don Stern, a World War II veteran, operated Don Surplus. And across the street, Owen Mullen, Army veteran, ran the First State Bank at Prairie Farm. Just up the block, my dad, an Army veteran of World War II, owned Crosby Insurance Agency in the little building where Hayward with Therapeutic is today. Across the street from the house I grew up in was Dixon Organ Implement. Tom and Dorothy Dixon's son, Corporal Jeff Dixon, U.S. Marine Corps, was a veteran of serious combat in Vietnam. And Orville Byer, a veteran of World War II, was our neighbor behind the house. Harry Raven and his wife Violet owned the Prairie Cafe restaurant in downtown Prairie Farm. Harry served as a Technical Sergeant 5 U.S. Army during World War II. And across the street, Clyde Benton, World War II veteran of the U.S. Navy, ran an auto body shop and repair shop and drove a school bus. Erwin Hansen, veteran of World War II, owned and operated the locker plant in downtown Prairie Farm. His wife Mabel lost her brother Benny Norberg to combat during the Battle of the Bulge. Hansen's neighbor Larry Miller was a veteran of combat in Korea. Earl Romill owned a Shell gas station on the opposite corner from the locker plant. Earl served with the elite 10th Mountain Division in the Italian Apennine Mountains during the Italian campaign of World War II. George Becker, Tech 5, U.S. Army, World War II, drove a delivery truck for Motor City Oil Company, located on a corner next to the fire hall. And Lawrence Brett, a custodian of the old Prairie Farm Middle School, was a Navy veteran of the war. Willie Harsted, World War II veteran, lived across the street from our Legion Hall for many years. On the north end of town were the Amundsen brothers. Gerald, the oldest, enlisted at 17 in March of 1944 and was assigned to the USS Gaynard, the Sumner class destroyer. Jerry was a plank owner, meaning that he was part of the first crew to sail on that new ship. The keel was laid in March of 44 and the ship commissioned that November. Built in New Jersey, the Gaynard would sail first to San Diego, Pearl Harbor, and ultimately to Saipan in preparation for the Okinawa campaign, during which the Gaynard was responsible for the destruction of 27 kamikaze attacks. After the war, Jerry and his brother Vern operated the Standard Oil Station on the north end of town. Vern and his brother Ozzie would both see combat later during the Korean War. Our neighboring communities were no different. Gene Link of Bridgeland was a B-24 Liberator pilot in the Burma-China-India theater, completing more than 50 aerial combat missions. Brothers Lyle and Herb Munker of Bridgeland both served. Herb in the Pacific at a place called Guadalcanal. The Marines called it Starvation Island. June Anderson of Dallas served as a Navy nurse at the Great Lakes Naval Hospital. June's brother Jim served as a Marine with Company K, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. Jim was wounded at New Britain, landed again at Peleliu, and earned the Bronze Star in Okinawa. In the 3 battles that Jim took part in, his company lost 88 Marines killed in action and another 381 wounded. Of the original 235 men of Company K that started on December 1943, only Jim and 18 other able-bodied Marines were left in August 1945. The title veteran sometimes comes at a terrible cost. Our little towns and our nation as a whole have a long and proud history of stories just like these. There are many more, too many to mention in the time we have today. Sadly, these stories are fading with the passage of time. I know that among the older members of our audience today, that many more names than the one I have included will come to mind. I wish I could have included them all. For living veterans, this day is bittersweet. It is inevitably brings to mind those with whom we proudly served, and sadly those we knew whose lives were taken far too soon. When Jim Anderson was interviewed many years ago for a book on local veterans, he said, "I am proud of the American flag and the part I played to keep the United States free." Despite what the evening news and many of our politicians would have you believe, we are still the greatest country on earth. You need look no further than our southern border for proof of that, as thousands risk their lives daily to come to the land of the free and the home of the brave. Our nation may not always have done things exactly right, but we have done more than any nation on earth to get it right. As Americans, we should be proud of that. For nearly 250 years, young and some not so young, men and women have served our nation. Some of them are with us today. From Lexington and Concord to New Orleans, from Fort Sumter to Cold Harbor and Gettysburg, through the world wars, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, Iraq, Afghanistan, and places they serve today that you will never hear of. American servicemen and women have served or are serving with pride, courage, and distinction. Thank you for remembering and honoring their service today.
Please stand.
At this time, we invite you to stay standing for the singing of the national anthem.
Veterans Day is a day we honor those veterans who have sacrificed portions of their lives for our country. This is how we should think of Veterans Day, trying to comprehend even a portion of that pain and trying to be there for the people who were fighting for us when they didn't even know we existed. That is what Veterans Day is about. Most people don't understand the purpose behind this holiday. This holiday is different from Memorial Day. That is not a day for remembering those who fell in defense of their freedom, but for those who stood beside the fallen and lived, those who watched friend after friend die and still chose to fight to protect what they cared about. People in our generation don't think of the pain or sacrifice that was made for them. They are so obsessed with going forward and moving on with their day. Most view Veterans Day as a simple holiday, a day off from school, away from their responsibilities. That is far from what it is about. It is a day of celebration for those who lived and a day of understanding battles they still must face.
The meaning of Veterans Day varies from person to person. Some see it as a day of remembering loved ones lost in military service. Some see it as a day to remember those who have and are currently fighting for them and America, or as a day to spend with the veterans and their family. We should think of Veterans Day as a day to be respected and understood, a day to celebrate and a night of reflection and remembrance. When we think of Veterans Day, we should think of the pain and tears they refuse to shed. If you have ever looked into a veteran's eyes, you will see someone who has faced death and watched another take a place they felt was meant for themselves. A quote from Jeff Miller:
The willingness of America's veterans to sacrifice our country has earned them our lasting gratitude.
This day was originally declared as Armistice Day, 8 years after the end of World War I, and honored only veterans of that war. Then, in 1954, after World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day to honor all veterans who served America in war. Those men and women were ordinary people until they were called to their duty and answered. They left everything behind, their families, their homes, and their lives. None of them did it for the recognition or fame, or even the honor we bestow upon them today. They fought to protect their country and to maintain our way of life. So veterans, thank you for being our great nation's patriots and heroes, and thank you for your undying courage and sacrifices to protect our freedoms and make a better life for each and every one of us.
The flag folding ceremony represents the same religious principles on which our country was originally founded. The partition of the flag denoting honor is the canton of blue containing the stars representing the states our veterans served in uniform. The canton field of blue dresses from left to right and is inverted when draped as a panel on a casket of a veteran who has served our country in uniform.
in the armed forces of the United States. At the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded in a triangle fold, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead.
The next morning it is brought out, and at the ceremony of the Legion, run aloft as the symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body.
The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life.
The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veteran departing our ranks who gave a portion of life for the defense of our country to attain a peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature, for as American citizens trusting in God, it is to Him we return in times of peace as well as in times of war for His divine guidance.
The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stefan Decatur, our country in dealing with other countries may she always be right, but is still our country, right or wrong.
The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all her enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor our mother for whom it flies on Mother's Day.
The ninth fold is a tribute to women who, for us, been through their faith, love, loyalty, and devotion, that the character or the men and women who have made this country great have been molded.
The 10th fold is a tribute to the Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of the country since they were first born. The 11th fold, in eyes of a Hebrew citizen, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, represents an album of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and Holy Ghost. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are utmost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God we trust."
After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of a soldier who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
My name is Teresa, and I'm representing the Hay River Quilting Group that meets here in Prairie Farm once a month. Each year, we present 5 quilts to local veterans on Veterans Day, 1 each in Elmina, Turtle Lake, Barron, Ridgeland, and Prairie Farm. This year, I'm honored to present this quilt of valor to Donald Singerhouse, a Vietnam veteran of the Holland Way Post 259 here in Prairie Farm. Mr. Singerhouse, we thank you for your service and sacrifice to our country.
At this time, I need the following elementary student council members to please come down: Kira Buckley, Sophie Buck, Casey Dunn, Weston Larson, and Nora Briggs.
On behalf of the Prairie Farm Elementary Student Council, we would like to thank you for your service to our country.
To show our appreciation, we have thank you cards for all the veterans here today.
At this time, could we have all the veterans stand and raise their hands so we can give you our thank you cards.
Thank you again for all you have done for all of us.
Please raise your hand and they will bring you a thank you card. Well, the student council is finishing handing out a few of their thank you cards. I have a special note from the Ladies Auxiliary, and the message says, veterans, we would like to invite each of the veterans here today to pick up a thank you bag. So they'd like to invite each veteran here today to pick up a thank you bag. They were prepared by the Ladies Auxiliary with donations from area businesses to show thanks and appreciation for your service. So if you're a veteran on your way out today, there's a table, and Vicky's got some bags over there to hand out for you. So thank you to the Ladies Auxiliary for that. I want to thank everybody that attended and participated in our program here today. And while we formally recognize veterans on November 11th, it's important that we remember those who have served 365 days a year. Veterans, thank you again for your service and commitment to our country. At this time, would everybody please stand, and I would invite the American Legion Post 259 and Connersville vets to remove our colors. Again, thank you everybody for coming. As we leave today, just a couple announcements. Elementary students, we will be getting ready to head outside just for a few minutes, so please bundle up. It's a little bit chilly out there. Middle school, high school, I believe we're still in third period, so we'll be heading there. And as the band plays, we'll begin to exit the gym with student body, and then everybody else is welcome as well. So thank you again for attending today.